Hello everyone, Silveroni of G&A Reviews here with our final Servant Spotlight for Epic of Remnant 1. Today we'll be taking a look at the other Shinjuku Archer, you know, the good one, Emiya Alter. We'll be examining his stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize them effectively, and an overall grade comparing him to how he stacks up to the other 4-star servants. Now, on to Emiya's stats. Emiya Alter has a max HP of 12,250 and a max attack of 8,996, which becomes 8,546 when taking his Archer class modifier into account. Compared to the other 4-star archers, Emiya Alter has both the second lowest attack stat and the second highest HP stat, and both are second only to Atlanta. As for how he fares against the general 4-star servant population, his attack is very below average, while his HP ranks fairly high. Overall, he has surprisingly low attack, especially for his class, but decently high HP, so he is considerably bulkier than the average 4-star. Taking a look at his skills, his first skill is Bulletproof rank A. It increases his defense for 3 times or 5 turns between 30 and 50% and applies damage cut 3 times between 300 and 500, both depending on level. His second skill is Projection rank C. It increases his Arch, Quick, and Buster Card effectiveness for 1 turn between 15 and 30% depending on level. And his final skill is Icy Sneer rank A, which increases his attack for 3 times or 5 turns between 20 and 40% depending on level. As for his passives, he has Magic Resistance rank D, which increases his debuff resist by 12.5%, and Independent Action rank A, which increases his crit strength by 10%. As for his deck and Noble Phantasm, Emiya Alter has a Quick Arts deck with Quick Arts Buster and an Arts Noble Phantasm. His Noble Phantasm Unlimited Lost Works deals significant damage to a single enemy and it ignores defense. It has between a 900 and 1500% damage modifier depending on level, and it also decreases enemy NP charge by 1 with between a 60 and 100% chance of success depending on overcharge. This can be upgraded through an interlude, which will increase the damage modifier to between 1200 and 1800% depending on level, and it also increases the NP charge decrease to between 80 and 100% depending on overcharge. Taking a closer look at his cards, we see that his Quick card hits 4 times, his Arch card hits 4 times, his Buster hits 4 times, and his Extra attack hits 5 times. He has an NP gain rate of 0.43% and a star rate of 7.9%. This is above average NP gain and star generating despite the low NP gain rate because of the large number of hits on all of his cards. There are a lot of things to say about Emiya Alter and he's often overlooked, but he is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Much like Kuro and to some degree regular Emiya, Emiya Alter is an arts-focused archer, and as such he has both good NP gain and star generating. And despite what his stats may suggest, he is as offensively minded as all the other Alter servants. His skill set is highly aggressive. Projection is a 1-turn buff to Arts, Buster, and Quick cards. This is great not only for buffing your damage, but also buffing your star generating and NP gain as well, making your NP Brave Change with Emiya Alter especially powerful, as you're going to be able to generate a decent amount of stars and get back a good refund on your NP charge. However, do keep in mind that the buff is only 30%, much weaker than normal Emiya's projection. On the bright side, however, Emiya Alter more than makes up for that low damage modifier with his third skill, Icy Sneer. This is a straight 40% attack buff, which is already very strong, but as an attack buff it also stacks multiplicatively with projection, making your Noble Phantasms even more powerful when the 2 skills are active at the same time. The other neat thing to note about Icy Sneer is that it will remain active for 3 hits, not 3 turns, which means you can activate it and just leave it active without fear of wasting it. You are guaranteed to get that 40% bonus damage on your next 3 cards, whether that means 1 card each turn or 3 cards all at once in a Brave Chain. And Emiya Alter's first skill, Bulletproof, works this exact same way, providing you a huge defensive buff for the next 3 hits. The best way to describe this skill is Ku's protection from arrows, but with defense instead of evade. And do not underestimate this defensive buff. Having all the damage done to you and then reducing that by 500 means that you're going to be taking 0 damage from pretty much anything that isn't a crit or a Noble Phantasm. Skill priority for Emiya is flexible, as all 3 of his skills are equally as good and versatile, but I recommend going for Icy Sneer first because that is your biggest and longest lasting damage buff, followed by Projection for more power on your Noble Phantasm, and then finally Bulletproof. Unlimited Lost Works is Emiya Alter's Noble Phantasm. It is a single target Arts Noble Phantasm that ignores defense and has a good chance of lowering enemy NP charge. This is a great Noble Phantasm because it provides significant damage, especially post-interlude, but also has a good utility for tougher content by being able to both pierce defense and lower enemies' NP charge. Emiya has a very strong and well-rounded kit that can be used in a variety of situations. He has good NP gain and star generating thanks to Projection, he has very high burst damage thanks to Icy Sneer, he has solid defensive options thanks to his Bulletproof skill and his high HP, making him considerably tanky despite the lack of hard defense, and his Noble Phantasm is especially strong in challenge quests. Thanks to his kit, he operates very similarly to Kuro and Archer Arturia. But probably the biggest strength of Emiya Alter is his Noble Phantasm damage. His single target damage is among the highest of all the archers, thanks in large part to those two buffs, making him an excellent choice for melting big bosses. All that said, Emiya Alter does have some drawbacks to consider as well. First and foremost are his cooldowns. While all of his skills have a short 5-turn cooldown, they only have a very limited uptime, either 1 turn or 3 hits, which usually means it'll last between 1 and 2 turns, so for the most part his skills have low uptime and need to be conserved for crucial situations, like when you're about to Noble Phantasm or be Noble Phantasmed. Because of that limiting factor of wanting to save his damage buffs for his NP, his non-Noble Phantasm damage is really lackluster because of his low attack. Outside of 1-turn burst damage every once in a while, he's just not going to be doing all that much damage. Also, despite having good NP gain, it isn't on par with the other Arts archers like Kuro, so while yes, he can Noble Phantasm fairly quickly, do not expect him to be a spammer unless you give him some really good support. And finally, while his defense buff is exceptionally good, it's still no substitute for a good old hard defense like invincibility or evade. Team composition for Emiya Alter is straightforward since he doesn't really have any special needs. Essentially, he wants to always be the main attacker on your team, and so you're going to want to pair him with servants that can buff him further or keep him alive when his defense buff isn't enough. For buffers, stick with servants that have strong arts buffs or attack buffs. Personally, I highly recommend Helena, Caster Gil, and Marie Summer. Helena's all-card buff is the perfect counterpart to Emiya Alter's Projection because it lasts for 3 turns as opposed to Projection's 1-turn buff. So Emiya Alter is going to be able to take full advantage of that high NP gain and star generating and damage even on his non-Noble Phantasm turns. Marie Summer is great as she can buff your overall damage with Charisma, but also if you want to build a more specialized arts crit team around Emiya, because he does have high star weight. She can accommodate that very well because of her crit damage buff and her star generating. Caster Gil is best if you're just looking to maximize your overall NP damage, and he can also support you with crit stars too. As for defensive supports, I recommend Jean and Fuma. Both of them provide very hard defense in invincibility and evade respectively, and both of them can also generate stars for you as well to further contribute to your non-NP damage. Emiya Alter's Bondcraft Essence is Kancho and Bakia. This increases the Arts, Quick, and Buster card effectiveness of all allies by 8%. This does help a lot in theory, but in practice an 8% buff is pretty small, so you're better off taking stronger craft essences. For extra damage, I suggest Black Grail, Formal Craft, Golden Sumo, and a Moment of Silence. Black Grail is going to give you the most NP damage, and the burn isn't too bad given how high your HP is and your defensive buff. Formal Craft is going to give you better NP gain and good damage for longer fights. Golden Sumo is great if you don't expect to NP more than once, and a Moment of Silence is strong on crit teams since it helps you with your star generating too. Speaking of which, if you want to be more specifically built for crit teams, then I suggest going with Another Ending, Lunar Hot Springs, or good old Gem Magecraft. Gem Magecraft is going to give you the most damage, while Lunar Hot Springs is for more consistency, and Another Ending if you still want to hold some power behind your Noble Phantasm. Down the line, you should also look into using Emerald Float for much higher NP damage and NP gain, or Castle of the Sun if you want to go for crit damage. Overall, Emiya Alter is a very solid servant and well above average. He has a powerful Noble Phantasm that has a great challenge quest application, a strong defensive buff, good NP gain and star generating especially when using projection, and he's flexible and self-sufficient enough to fit into a variety of teams. However, he does lack invincibility or evade, his skills have a variable but usually long cooldown, and when his skills are on cooldown, his damage is mediocre. So overall, he gets a B+ from me. He's a strong servant, but not quite explosive enough to be top tier in my book. Mostly because he doesn't really do anything particularly innovative outside of just being good. If you don't have a strong single target archer like Kuro or Orion or Archer Arturia, then he can definitely carry you, but he isn't game changing. And those are my thoughts on Emiya Alter. Pretty underrated if you ask me. He does deserve the comparisons he gets to Kuro, and he can be key to a strong arts team. And as always, if you rolled him or planning to roll him, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over at our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.